Hi everybody, it's Ben from HiyGroup. Hope you've had a really good New Year and a good Christmas. Obviously rolling into 2021 now, and we've had a plan that we're going to start sharing the creative experience with you. So that's reaching out to some really cool creative freelancers, understanding how they've got to where they are, what their journey is, if they've made good decisions, bad decisions, and just really understand their story, and hopefully you can sort of take out what you can from that. So this first one is a good friend of mine called Danny from Oquat Media. He's made a pretty good success of himself. He went from playing in a band, playing music, going into music production, and then all of a sudden jumping into photography and videography. And he's earned a lot of money. He's just bought his house using that money from that as well. So it is a really good story, and there's a lot of golden nuggets to take out from this. I'll timestamp the video throughout so you can jump into each chapter because we've identified some good chunks in that. So feel free to skip ahead, or if you want to watch it all the way through, I highly recommend doing that so you can really get as much out of it as you possibly can. Let us know what you think in the comments. Obviously, like and subscribe because we're going to be doing this a lot more going into 2021 and thereafter. So really appreciate the support so far, and yeah, thank you very much.
I want to know like your story and how you've gone from, I mean, what you used to work at McDonald's going into now into photography, and you did it so quickly as well.
Yeah, like 10 months. That's all it took.
10 months is amazing. But yeah, I mean, just
Okay.
talk about your story, and I'll pick it and I'll jump in when I.
Okay, cool. Okay, so throughout since the day I was 18, I had a full-time job working for McDonald's. Worked from being a crew member to crew trainer to shift manager to assistant manager. But whilst doing that, I went to university, met friends who I was in a band with, and got into playing in a band, recording bands, and that's how I met you.
Yeah.
As time went on, music got very expensive because when you're in a band, you want photography doing, you want music videos doing, you want flyers doing, you want, CD covers and everything doing. So one of the guys in the band, Tim, who is one of my best friends, if not the best friend of mine, he didn't say that he was going to be a photographer or videographer for that purpose, but it was very coincidental that he decided to take that upon himself whilst I did all the recording. So between the two of us, we saved the band thousands of pounds per year. I used to mock him and say, oh, look, 50mm lens, blah, 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 whatever. I didn't care about photography. I thought it was the most pathetic thing in the world.
Did you have that stigma in your mind? Was like, well, what's the point of spending all this money on camera when you've got an amazing one in your phone?
Well, this is it. That's literally what I thought. I was like, oh, I've got a phone. I don't need to be able to do that. Like, I'm not interested. Like, only idiots are photographers. In fact,
but then you see something amazing, like some really good photography, and you're like, you can't do that on an iPhone.
Yeah, well, this is it. So I had a friend from a previous band. I won't mention names, but a friend to do with a previous band who was a photographer. He wasn't in the band. He was just a friend of the band. And I never really understood why he charged so much money for what he did.
Was it mainly like band photography? Was that his?
Yeah, that was like his thing. He's done very well for himself as well. He's been on tour around the world with some incredible bands. But I actually couldn't understand how photography could be a real job. And that's really idiotic of me, or really naive, I guess you could say, to think that.
More naive, because it's one of those, like, if you don't know anything about it, because you've always been in the music producing and playing.
But it's so bad of me, looking back, it's so bad of me because I was a studio engineer, I was a mix engineer, and like a producer. I was in a band, and I expected bands to pay me the money which I wanted to do their stuff.
Yeah.
And to me that was a normal job. But when I looked at this guy who was charging, £100 a photo shoot, I was like, what? Like, that's extortionate. And it isn't. Looking back, it's completely fair. And I was very narrow-minded of me to think that he was overcharging, when in actual fact he wasn't. It was the complete opposite.
I was going to say that from the experience I've had is probably quite cheap because
Yeah.
it's not just the photo shoot, it's the editing and it's the
Yeah.
post and it's sending.
And the thing is, because I came from outside of that, even though I was a creator, I didn't ever see it as that.
Yeah.
I never knew what went off behind it. And I was I can hold my hand up and say I was an idiot. I was ignorant. I was narrow-minded to actually think that photography is just clicking a button. I never expected a camera to cost £1,000. I never expected a camera to cost, or a lens to cost £2,500.
I'm gonna say, like, I mean, from when we spoke before, you said the lenses are like the most expensive bit.
Yeah.
Which, from my mind, again, I don't really, I'm not massively into photography myself. I get people like yourself to do it because I know the equipment is so unbelievably expensive.
Yeah.
But you assume the camera's the biggest part to it, but
Yeah.
at all, it's
And even then I'd sit there and think, well, it's only a couple of £100 for a camera, because you see people with like 700Ds, like Canon 700Ds or a Nikon something, I don't know, like you see the just bog standard cameras and everyone has them. So I thought that that's what everyone used. So yeah, that it completely blew my mind. As time went on, after I left university, I was still in the band. I was still earning money being a musician, but I still had my full-time job as a manager for McDonald's. I got into being a magician. I wanted to do cardistry and sleight of hand. That was something which I was massively into, and still am. I have hundreds of decks of cards in the other room, like a box full of them, all little tricks and stuff, and I can make a card appear in your backside if I wanted it to. Like, it's that. It's like that.
Yeah.
Whilst I was doing that, I came across two magicians. One of them, his name was Peter, and the second one was Chris. They worked for a company called Illusionist. And I kind of followed that. And then as time went on, I got into flying drones and racing drones and had a GoPro and wanted to edit the GoPro footage.
Yeah.
So then I got in touch with my friend who I was in the band with, Tim, and said, how do I edit video? And he kind of taught me a few bits, only basics. This is the settings you need for a GoPro. This is what you need to do. And I kind of just taught myself. Kept looking on YouTube for little tutorials and whatever. And at the time, he was working for a car company very close to where I live now as a photographer and videographer. So he actually taught himself as well and learned completely off YouTube, did some freelance work on the side, but it took him a few years to get a full-time job. And he came from a background of being he worked in Morrison's Cafe in Gamston.
Yeah.
So he worked there, just in the cafe as a waiter, chef, I don't know, whatever they do there.
Yeah.
And yeah, he got a full-time job. And I always used to joke with him saying, oh, get me a job. And he says, well, learn how to use a camera first. He says, and you never know. I had no interest in actually buying a camera. None. And yeah, I kind of just stuck with editing GoPro footage and this and that. And then as time went on, I started using my GoPro more and more. And then the people I used to watch on YouTube were vloggers who had racing drones. So they used to get a camera, vlog their day, go out, fly racing drones. People like Mr. Steele and all them lot, Rotor Riot. And I was like, I want to do that. I wanted to vlog. That's all I wanted at the time, just to vlog.
Yeah. Just tell your story.
Just tell my story. I didn't care who listened. I was going to be famous anyway. I was going to have like 3 billion followers on YouTube. Like half the world's population will know who I am by next week. That's what I wanted.
Yeah.
So then I looked to see what camera to buy. And I spoke to Tim and he says, oh, get a Sony A6000. So I had a look and it was like £500-600. So I looked at the next one up and it was like £750. And then the next one above that was £800. And the next one was £1,000. I was like, okay, well, what do these even do? So one day I went to Jessop's and it was my 25th birthday. I went to Jessop's. I had £150 to spend. £150 would have got me nothing in Jessop's. Yeah, but it was okay. Yeah, it would have got me a point and shoot, if that. I'd have probably still had the rest on finance. But I was like, right, I want to go buy a camera. So I went, had a look, and I kept asking loads of questions. And eventually I saw a camera, and it was a Sony. It was a Sony A7 Mark 1. It's a full frame camera. It's the cheapest full frame camera Sony do on that line. And the guys were like, well, it only does photography. It's not very good for videography. Just to make you aware. I was like, yeah, that's fine. I'm never going to be a videographer. I only want to do vlogs. I'm not bothered. I ain't going to be the next Steven Spielberg. Like, doesn't interest me. I want to take some photos. But it was £1,000. This camera was £1,000.
That's like the bottom rung, isn't it?
That bought you a camera and a kit lens. A kit lens, to me, I had no idea what this kit lens did. It shot from 28mm to 70mm. It had a variable aperture. That's what they told me. I was like, okay.
Take your word for it.
Whatever, mate. Yeah, that's fine. And they were like, are you sure you want this? So like, yeah. My girlfriend was with me, and she says, if you want to get it, get it. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna have to have it on finance. She's like, yeah, but they do 0% as long as you pay it off in a year. I was like, okay. This was like the biggest purchase of my life. Like, I'd bought a car, I'd done this. This was like me committing to something. I was like, this is a big thing.
Well, yeah, because I mean, you've gone from, like you said, doing all your music stuff,
Yeah.
to then leaping into photography for the first time, and then actually, like I said, buying a car, you spend a few grand on it because you need a car. You know you're going to use it. But a camera is like
buying a camera. That's like going out and it's like buying a guitar or buying a painting set or going out and buying some tools because you're going to go and do next door's patio. Like, it doesn't make sense.
You've never like done it properly before.
Yeah, I've got no idea. I've got no idea what I'm doing. But I paid £150 deposit and had £850 on finance on 0% and almost cried. What am I going to do? How am I going to pay for this?
Yeah.
I have no idea what to even do with this camera. So I got it, took it home, opened it up, and I knew how to put the battery in. I knew how to turn it on. And that's about it.
Yeah.
But I got home, my mum said, well, what have you bought with your birthday money? Pulled this box out, showing her the camera. She's like, what the have you done? How much was that? I was like, £1,000. Please don't shout at me. I'm really sorry. I've had it on finance. Don't hate me. She was fuming.
I bet she was.
My girlfriend, she wasn't fuming. She was very supportive, but she, deep down, even if you ask her now, guarantee she was probably thinking, what the fuck is he doing?
Yeah.
I told my dad, I took my camera up to my dad's and showing him, and he was like, so how much was that? I was like, £1,000. And he was like, speechless.
Yeah.
Like, no one in my life ever saw me with a camera. My mum bought me a point and shoot camera when I was very young. I still have it in one of the boxes next door. And I've never put one of the photos I took off it onto a computer. I was not interested. I hated photos. I barely had photos on my phone to begin with. I never used a camera. It didn't interest me.
Yeah.
So yeah, I took a photo of my cat. I don't have a cat, but it lives at my house, or my mum's house. So I took a photo of the cat. And I can remember taking a photo of the cat. And in fact, let's go back. I haven't even bought a camera at this point. I was on YouTube one night looking how to do GoPro videos. And I came across this guy, and he did 9 camera hacks in 90 seconds.
What does that mean? Like, what do you mean by camera hack?
Like, camera tips of how to take photos.
Yeah.
Like, put your camera on a tea towel and pull it across the worktop, and you'll get a slider. Yeah. Okay. Simple things like that. I was watching him, and he was so energetic, a bit like myself. And I was like, wow, this guy's really cool. Subscribe. He had like 100,000 followers, if that. He might not even have that. He might have had like 70,000 followers. And I followed him, and I watched every video of his. And he hadn't been on YouTube long, and his name was Peter McKinnon. People who are probably watching or reading this at this point, who are photographers, will be like, oh my God, Pete McKinnon. Yeah, he's like the biggest person in the photo industry for YouTube right now. The guy's just passed 5 million subscribers.
Wow.
Mind blown.
That's
Okay,
over-
he's done that. He's done that in like 4 years, 3 years, something like that. Something insane. So anyway, I followed this guy. Followed him on Instagram. He was amazing at photography. He did landscapes, like big landscapes in Canada, Banff, Iceland, you name it. I wanted to go do that. That's what I wanted to do. So I looked at cameras constantly. And then that's why, like, speaking to my friend, he was like, get a Sony A7, you'd be fine. You need this kind of lens and this and that. But I had no money. So I went and bought this camera. So back to where we are now. Come back home, took a photo of the cat. Signed up to Lightroom, which was £10 a month. Bought Peter McKinnon's presets, his first set, and just put it on. Clicked preset. The photo was absolutely trash. It was the worst photo I've ever taken, ever. And I look at it now and think, wow, that sucks.
But like you said, it was your first one. So
It's my first one. But you know what? It also makes me think, like, I love that photo now because it shows me how far I've come.
Yeah,
that's the best thing about that photo.
I'll be tagging your Instagram and YouTube and everything like this after. And some of the photos you take are absolutely insane. So to go from a picture of your mum's cat that you've done with some blokes, preset, it looked crap. But then that's probably only what, 3 years ago.
Yeah, not even that. It'll be 3 years on like the 5th of May next year. So like 2.5 years.
All the way. And you said you've not even like been to uni, or you've just done this off your own back, and you've used the advice of, like, Tim. He's
At this point, I've got about 5 text messages off Tim with a bit of advice about how to turn the camera on, what settings to put it on. That's it. And the rest of it, I kind of learned off YouTube. That's it.
Yeah.
So time went on, I started practicing. And then that's where we come into the imposter syndrome.
Yes.
So my first job as a photographer, my first paid job was at a nightclub. I'd been a photographer for a while at this point. Photographer. I wasn't very good at it, but whatever.
So how did you get the job? How did you reach out to them?
It was on Indeed. One night I was sat at my girlfriend's mama's. I've been a photographer at this point for maybe about 7 months. I had a camera, which I was still paying off.
Yeah.
I had a flash gun, a speed light, which I'd never used. I didn't know what to do with it. I had no idea. I had a cheap camera bag from Curry's and a few batteries. I had no idea what I was doing. But there was a photography job. I was like, well, taking photos of drunk people, how hard can it be?
Yeah.
So I reached out to them, and I said, I haven't really got a CV, but I'm happy to come and have a chat with you and see what happens. I went in, spoke to one of the managers there, shown them loads of photos of landscapes. They weren't interested in the slightest. Like,
it's a very different target audience.
Yeah, I had no idea. And they're like, have you ever done this? I'm like, oh yeah, but I just lied. I'm like, I haven't got the things with me at the moment. I said, but if you want, like, at that point, I knew they'd say, well, go home, get it, come back. What I did was stop them right in the tracks and said, well, but whilst I'm here, how about I do a night for you, just an hour. I'll take some photos, I'll edit them, I'll send them over. If you like them, you can pay me for them, and then we can go from there. If not, don't worry about it. You just say, you can see how I work in your thing.
Yeah. Leave the ball in their court.
Yeah.
But still keep them open to an opportunity with you. Yes, that's smart. Yeah.
So they were like, okay. So it was a win-win situation for them. They either get free photos which they don't like and they don't have to pay for them, or they get photos which are bangers. They do pay for them, and they get a guy to come and take photos for them all the time. Okay. So they were like, yeah. So I put my laptop in the bag, got my camera out, got my flash out, quickly Googled how to use the flash.
That's amazing. Is it one of those that you plug on top of the camera? Yeah.
Yeah. Like you have to program it and say what settings you want it to be on. I have no idea what I was doing. The first photo I took was of my own hand to make sure that my hand was as bright as the background.
Yeah.
No idea what I was doing. And I went and took photos. I took probably about 100 that night. In an hour, I took 100, and I had about 60 by the end of it after I'd edited them. I came home that night, I edited them and sent them straight to them before they even shot.
That's impressive. Because normally you go to a club and you get a photo taken, it's like a week later.
Yeah, straight. The next morning, the manager gets in touch with me. Hiya, got your photos. They're insane.
No way.
I was like, thanks.
So
She's like, do you want to come in and we can discuss pricing? So I went in and she was like, okay, well, normally I don't do this much or whatever. I think she said something like, I'll pay you, like minimal wage, and I need you here for like 4 hours.
Yeah. So what's that, like £7 an hour, 4 hours?
20, so it's like 28 quid.
Yeah.
I like, no. She's like, what do you mean? I was like, I'm not doing it for that much. I said, I want more.
Because, well, you can do that because they've already said the pictures are insane.
This is it.
So bump up your worth a bit.
Yeah. So I said no. I said I want more, or if I don't want more, then I want less hours. She's like, how do you mean? I said, okay. How about I come in, I give you 100 photos a night, and I'm here. If I'm here half an hour, I'm here half an hour. If I'm here an hour, 3 hours, I'm here to get guarantee 100 photos minimum per night, and I'll take 40 quid an hour. 40 quid for the night. And she didn't really know what to say. And I said, it's up to you. I said, take it or leave it. She took it.
Nice.
I said, what night? She says, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Yeah. So 160 a week in my pocket. And I had no idea what I was doing.
But that's insane. You've gone from, like I said, you've literally done a trial period for your first actual photos in a club. Managed to get your own client from there, and then but at the same time that's building your portfolio.
Yeah, well, this is it. Like when she turned around to me, she said, what other experience do you got? Oh, well, I've done this, I've done that. I kind of just told them a load of crap, as long as they never questioned anything I said to them, because I just sat there so confidently and said, yeah, I've done this, I've done this, I've done this, I've done this. I hadn't done anything. I've never done a paid shoot in my life. I'd never even taken a photo of somebody in my life. I had no idea what I was doing.
Yeah.
So that was my first paid gig. At which point I had left McDonald's. I'd quit at that point, and I'd gone to Pizza Express as a assistant manager as well. Whilst I was at Pizza Express, my friend, let me backtrack.
That's cool.
I left McDonald's, and my friend Tim stuck to his word. He got in touch with me and said, Danny, there's a job going at my place. I said, doing what? He says, the same thing as me. I said, I can't do it, mate. He's like, why not? I said, I'm currently in London. I've left my job at McDonald's and I've gone to Pizza Express. Today's my first day.
Oh no, it's so typical, isn't it?
I can't leave.
Yeah.
I've got to stick by him. I'm sorry. So I gave up the opportunity. I didn't apply for the job. That was it. A few days later, he gets in touch with me and says, Danny, can I borrow your camera? So what for? He says, I've got a wedding. He says, I need a second camera just in case mine dies. I said, no, you can't borrow it. He says, why not? I said, because it's my camera. So therefore, I have to come with it. He's like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, you need a second camera, and why don't you just have a second shooter? He says, well, I can't pay you. It's not a paid wedding. Like, I'm doing it for free for a friend. I was like, well, make sure they're happy with it, but I'll come and help with all the photos. If your camera dies, then you can have my camera by all means. But it's less work for you, whatever.
He's also he's your best mate anyway, and
yeah,
again, it's building your portfolio.
Yeah. So I went.
Experience. Yeah.
I went, and the majority of the photos I took got used. They were super happy with the photos. I didn't edit them, but Tim edited them. But I got to keep them. Yeah. And that's how I got enough content to bag my first paid wedding.
Yeah, that's when you start making decent money, because that weddings is where it's at.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you did I mean, unfortunately, obviously with the coronavirus this year. I mean, how many weddings have you had cancelled over like the last?
More than I can count on my hand 3 times over.
Yeah, it was a lot, and obviously you convert that into revenue. That's a lot of money.
Yeah, 100%. But if we I can remember sat there at this wedding, and I really enjoyed it. It was so exciting to be able to be part of someone's big day.
Yeah.
To capture them moments, them special moments, which only ever happen once.
Mm-hmm.
It just meant a lot. So then, whilst we were having lunch, I had a packed lunch in my car. Tim was sat with me in my car, and he was. I was asking about this person who's applied for this job. Like he says, "Oh yeah, someone's applied for the job. It's this woman." And then he turned around and says, "But she hasn't taken it." I said, "What do you mean?" He's like, "The person who applied for the job and got given the job, she's turned it down. So we're putting it back up."
Yeah.
At this point, I've been at Peace Express for about 6 weeks. I liked it, but it was my passion. I enjoyed business. I enjoyed McDonald's. I enjoyed management, but I didn't want to do it forever.
Yeah.
I wanted to follow my passion. At this point, I was hooked. Like, I want to be a photographer. So he was like, "You should apply." So I applied. I applied like on a Thursday afternoon or Thursday morning. I got an email half an hour later saying you got a telephone interview. I had a telephone interview that afternoon. They liked me. I got the brief through for the interview the week after. Did a testimonial video with my girlfriend, my mum, and my dad talking about how amazing the company I work for is. And I needed to film some B-roll. So what B-roll is pieces of footage which tell part of the story, which go over the top of the narrative.
Yeah.
And I didn't have a camera which had really done very good videography, and it didn't do slow motion. So if I was trying to move the camera freehand, it would be shaking everywhere. So at this point, I still hadn't paid off my finance because I was only 9 months into having a camera.
Yeah.
But
which is insane, by the way. So from having your camera from like 9 months, months before then, walking in with 150 quid on your 25th birthday, to then having a paid gig at a club, doing your first wedding, and then team up everything else from there, and then I imagine you're going to say getting offered the job where you're working now.
This is where I took the next gamble.
In 9 months, insane.
So here's the next gamble. So I needed a camera gimbal, like a gimbal which I could put my camera on. So it's stable.
Stabilizer. Yes. Yeah.
Stabilizer. So I needed one of them. I had a look, and everyone wanted about this Ronin S, DJI Ronin S. I had a look, and it was £690. So I went and bought one on finance. 0%. So now I was £1,690 in debt, and I had to pay the first £1,000 off in like 3 months' time.
Yeah.
So I went, bought the gimbal, and thought, well, I've got 30 days with it. I can try it, use it to apply for the job, and if I don't get the job, I can take it back. That was my hope. That was what I was praying on. Mm. So I can remember being in Asda car park filming my Golf, and I still had no idea what I was doing. Yeah. None. Because videography is completely opposite of photography. Like, you can do the framing, but you've then got to think about shutter speed and shutter angle, and there's so many things to think about. And you got to think about the color grading, because it doesn't act the same way as what a raw file would from photography. And remember, 9 months ago, I turned around to the guy in Jessop's and said, "Nah, I don't want a camera that does video because I'll never be a videographer." But this job was to be a videographer. I had no idea what I was doing.
Yeah.
None. So I put a video together real quick over the space of a weekend. I also went to film one of my friend's garages where he did like car body work and stuff, and used Premiere Pro and used some tutorials that Peter McKinnon had done over the last year or two, by which point he was already at 1 million subscribers, and I was mind blown.
Yeah.
And I went into the interview and threw everything I could at this guy who was interviewing me. this is the paid gig I do. I do like portraits. I've done this, done a wedding. I could do landscapes. I could do anything. I'm confident. I've been a manager. Like, I'm happy to speak to people. I did everything I could, pretty much pleading with them to give me an opportunity, because I came from having zero experience.
Yeah.
Like, I had lied my way through the whole industry up until this point and was still kind of lying. But I had to be careful because my friend was also in the room when I was doing the interview, so he knew everything. So I had to kind of be very careful how I said things.
Yeah. So you can't shoot him in the foot, because obviously he's recommended you and referred you for the job.
And this guy probably already knows everything about me. So I've got to just be so honest, but prove to them that I am capable of doing the job.
Mm.
That night, I called Tim up and said, "How do you think it went?" He was like, "I don't know, mate. Like, it's a tough one." He says, "There was a lot of people who applied, and a lot of them were very good." And I was like, "Okay." I thought nothing to it. 2 weeks went by. I got a phone call from the person who had interviewed me, and he says, "Danny, if you want the job, it's yours."
No way.
And I couldn't believe it. And
some people that had been doing it for years and years and years.
well, as time went on, when I started the job, there were people who had been to university. There had people who had done 2 or 3 years experience at other jobs. And some people may say that, oh, it's because of Tim you got the job, but it isn't.
No. Well,
I can honestly say Tim did not get me that job. He might have turned around and said, at least give him a chance to have an interview.
Yeah. He opened the door for you, but you've got to walk through and you've got to then close it on the other side. Like,
exactly. And still at this point, I'd only ever recorded 2 videos in my life. But my job was to go film for brands such as Mercedes-Benz,
yeah.
Porsche, Jaguar Land Rover.
Yeah. Like marketing material.
Yeah.
Which is
So-
that skyrocketed from taking a picture of your cat, your mum's cat, to take a picture of drunk people in a club, to then taking pictures of Mercedes-Benzes and Range Rovers and Jags and all this sort of stuff in a 12-month period.
Yeah, so I started the new job on the 1st of May, 2016. Wait, what year are we in?
17, wasn't it?
2019. It was the last year.
So only like, oh mate.
Last year. So yeah, because I've only been a videographer or photographer for almost 3 years, and I've been in that company for nearly 2 years. So I applied for the job after 11 months and I started it after 12 months. So from that point, I had a full-time job. I quit management, left there, went and become a full-time photographer, videographer, which I still had to learn on the job, which no one really knows about. Like, as far as anyone's concerned, I knew exactly what I was doing when the moment I went into that job. Yeah. I had no idea. I can remember sat there editing a video for Mercedes-Benz on my first morning. Clueless.
YouTube up on one screen.
Yeah, literally. I used Peter McKinnon, got me through everything. He was my Bible of videography. And there's a comment on one of his videos where he says, it was in March, and it makes me laugh because that's like when I first started getting money as a photographer. And it said, make $3,000 this month in photography. And I commented on it saying, I've just applied for a job, got, done this, done that. And then I edited it and then told them a bit more, and then edited it again and told them some more. And then I went back to the comment a year later. It's got like 1,500 likes now.
Yeah.
And hundreds of comments, and people come to my YouTube now, and people message me on Instagram almost daily saying, I've just come across your comment on Peter McKinnon's video. Like, it's so inspirational to know that you've done that so fast.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I can thank my girlfriend for being supportive and honest and caring. I can thank my family. I can thank my friends. I can thank Tim. But honestly and truthfully, if it wasn't for Peter McKinnon helping me, and just obviously he just puts videos up, I just watch them. That's it. If he wasn't putting the videos up, I wouldn't have done it. Now the strange thing is, I already mentioned that I did magic back in the day, and there was a guy called Peter. Well, I went through a magic set which I got from Illusionist a year ago, and it's a DVD, and on the front of it is a guy called Chris Ramsey, who is a YouTuber as well. He does a lot of puzzles and stuff like that. a lot of sleight of hand and whatever. The other guy was Peter McKinnon.
What, as well?
The same guy.
So what? So he like co-owner of Illusionist then, is it?
No. He
Was he-
just worked for Illusionist, creating all their video content and started like doing bits like that. Now, I never thought of this because in his earlier videos, he was talking about sleight of hand and magic and what he used to do. And I never put it together. And then I came across this DVD, opened it up. On the front, there's a photo of Peter McKinnon. And I was like, it's like a full circle. This one guy has taught me how to cheat at poker through to getting a full-time job.
Yeah.
And the guy has literally indirectly supported me every step of the way.
Yeah.
And it's absolutely mind-blowing. And people say it's very cliche, or it's Pete McKinnon. Like, people may think I suck up to him and I want to be him. I don't. The guy is a massive role model to me.
But there's absolutely nothing wrong with having a role model, especially someone like you've seen him grow from 70, 80,000 subscribers
to 5.1 million, which he's now got
in just a couple of years. That is surely enough inspiration for you to go out and try and do
100%. 100%. So at that point, I had a full-time job as a photographer, videographer. I was already working in a nightclub, but I didn't want to be in a nightclub anymore. I want to do something different. So then I started looking for weddings, and then I booked weddings for all of like the back end of that year, this year, and now I'm booking for even 2022 and 2023.
Yeah.
And I kind of just go off whatever I've got, and I don't wing it. To anyone listening who I may be doing a wedding for, I don't wing it. Like, I do actually know what I'm doing, but to get my first couple of weddings, I had no idea. Like, I knew how to do a wedding, and I've studied a lot. And my photography, without me being big-headed, is very good.
Yeah, and it is. Yeah, I mean, you see a lot of photographers out there that are trying and they're putting a lot of effort in, and maybe they don't have the initiative to go and really sit down and look at their skill and keep trying to develop it. I think some people get to a point where they feel like they hit a ceiling.
Yeah.
Like that's as best you're gonna get, but you can just keep pushing it.
And that's kind of how I felt with music. Like, music's still a massive part of my life. I love it, and me and the band have written songs recently, and hopefully after COVID, there's going to be some new music coming out. But at the same time, like, I don't feel like music is my calling anymore. I've done music ever since I was a little kid. My granddad bought me my first keyboard, and I learned piano from that, and I was still in primary school. But I went to university, did a degree in music and music production. But I can honestly say photography has completely changed my life. It's taken me out of my comfort zone and made me, rather than being a very introverted person, to being a much more extroverted person. Like, I'm still a little bit of an introvert. If there's a big crowd of people, I'd sooner sit back and not really speak. But I ain't afraid to go up to someone and take photos no more. And I always say to everybody who's ever says, "Oh, I daren't do this." Why not? What's stopping you? Well, because I ain't got the confidence.
This is what we're trying to do with Hi is understand, like, stories like yourself and say, if you can do it and loads of other people can do it and Peter McKinnon can do it, why
can't you
at least give it a go? Because
and the thing I'm struggling with now is I want to post on YouTube more. I want to hit 1,000 subscribers. That's all I want. If I could hit 1,000 subscribers, I could die happy. If I got 10,000, I'd be over the moon. If I got 100,000, I'd probably cry, mate. I don't think I could ever manage or come to terms with the fact that 100,000 people knew who I was.
Yeah.
If I could hit 1,000, I'd be over the moon. But the thing is, I don't post enough, and I don't feel confident enough in front of a camera. So now I'm pushing myself to get in front of the camera and do more on YouTube and just do more things. The thing is, it's very expensive to buy all the equipment. I've spent £12,000 on camera gear.
And that's only in the space of 3 years.
Yeah, less than. Yeah. and all of it is paid for. And like,
I was going to say that was my next point. I mean, because you've done that and you've put the time and effort in, and you've put yourself out there and gone out your comfort zone, I can imagine you've paid for that camera equipment and then some considerably.
I've been able to save up for a house deposit in. I did it in 5 months.
Yeah, doing something that you love.
Yeah, I paid for all my camera gear, paid for my house deposit, and paid for it more.
You've changed your life. You've essentially changed your life by following something that following your heart, but doing it in the right way, where you turn it into a business.
Yeah.
An organization.
And that's the thing. In this year has been really hard. Like, it's been the hardest year. Not only have I bought a house, which just financially bankrupt me pretty much, but I've just struggled massively, like mentally, physically, everything. This year has just been a bloody nightmare. But this year I've had to adapt. I haven't earned anywhere near what I wanted to earn because of COVID.
Yeah.
But then, like, it comes to YouTube, it comes to doing one-to-one tutorials online, and then doing things like preset packs and this and that. And then finally it goes on to like the leather goods and all that stuff on top of that.
That's something you're not even spoken about yet, is like because that was another tangent. And like all of a sudden you dropped me a message like, I'm making wallets now. I was like, you've gone from recording my band, like doing an album or an EP for us, to then going into photography and now, selling leather goods. But it's about adapting and changing.
Yeah, 100%. The reason the leather goods came about was I wanted a camera strap or a camera harness to be able to put both cameras on when I do weddings. £500 for one of them.
Jesus. So you just make it yourself.
So literally, I was looking, I was like, okay, I ain't buying one of them. I'll just spend £500 on the tools and make my own because it'll be better.
Yeah.
Like, whatever they can do, I can do better. That's the way I always think. Very big headed of me, but it's the way I go. Like, whatever someone can do, if they can do it, I can do it.
But that's the self-confidence in yourself, and I don't think enough people have that. That's true belief, and it ties into, like, you went for a job interview with probably no portfolio. You not necessarily bend the truth, but you put your managerial hat on and just say, look, if you can be confident, even if you're confidence goes a hell of a long way.
When I was a manager at Mackey's, sometimes I didn't know an answer. A customer could come in screaming at me because something's happened. I know nothing about it. I don't know how to resolve it. But you got to think on your toes.
Yeah.
You got to be able to do it. You got to be able to make things right and make sure that you, the customers, and your staff trust you. Mm-hmm. And that's when your body language and the way you speak comes into, like, is the biggest part of the whole thing.
Yeah.
So I was like, I can remember it being like January this year, and I thought, I really need a camera strap. £500. I'm not buying one. No. So I came across this guy on YouTube and was like, okay, I researched him for a bit, and I looked at other things and tools and this and what I might need, and I sat there and thought, bloody hell, that £500 ain't going to get me very far. So I bought some tools, and it was the day before lockdown. It was like the 22nd of March this year. I didn't buy much. I spent about 60 quid in a leather shop in Matlock. I went in, hiya, I want to make wallets. Showed them a photo, and they were like, I had my camera with me at the time. They're like, oh, you're a photographer? I'm like, yeah. They were like, oh, cool, okay. Like, yeah, can we take some business details as well? Because they were looking for a photographer and videographer to help them build their social media content. So I gave them, and they sorted me out with some needles, some thread, some leather, and all. That's about it. I came away, I was like, well, I'm not going to be able to make much with this because it isn't everything I need. So then I bought some secondhand tools offline and bought some other bits and a cutting mat and whatever. And then I went out and bought a big piece of leather. It's got to pay for me. That's it. I'll just find out how to do it. So I started with some practice leather and made some wallets, which are no good, which I've now binned. But then made my own templates, and because I designed all my templates by hand, and I was like, well, this isn't going to be work. This isn't going to be fast enough for me to make a product with. I need something printing out of acrylic.
Yeah.
So
you can churn them out. So if you are getting orders, you can get them out the door quicker. Yeah.
100%. So then I found a print company, and then had to learn how to use Illustrator, which is obviously a design program, to design the products. So I looked on YouTube, looked how to use Illustrator, sent the prints off. They sent me the model, like the actual 3D prints back, and I made just 4, maybe 5 products. Took some photos, put them on my website. See what happens. The thing is, it doesn't cost me anything to make anything. Like, it does cost me, but it isn't like I'm paying out a massive overhead.
Yeah, just your time, isn't it?
Yeah. If I don't sell something this month, yeah, all right, it's cost me the leather, but it isn't like I've got to pay out for the leather again.
Yeah, well, the leather's it's not going anywhere.
Exactly. So I just make things in my room while I'm at my mum's. I made some stuff on the kitchen table yesterday. I just do it in my free time, just as and when. I do all the marketing myself. I just kind of do that. It isn't the biggest business. I don't make hundreds and hundreds of pounds. I don't really get that many orders. But I'm happy doing it and I enjoy it. I've sent things over to Canada. I've sent things over to Australia. I've sent things into Europe.
Yeah.
And it's just a cool thing to do. And you know what? Here I am, nearly a year later, and I still haven't made my camera strap.
But you did it. So you went all this journey of like buying all the stuff to make it,
and I still haven't done it. But it's like the coolest thing in the world, like the SD card wallets, and like I made a bifold wallet yesterday. And I just love the care and attention which goes into something, and the hours and everything. But the thing is, the reason I enjoy doing something like this is because I appreciate it so much, and I try and base it all around my business. So it's branded with like the crop symbol because of Crop Media, and people say, well, why don't you change it to like Danny Bligh leather goods or whatever? Because it's all like photography based. It's all like everyday carry based. It's wallets, SD card holders, key rings, little books like scribes which you can write things in and stuff. And it isn't the fact that I want Crop Media to be a photography business. I want it to be a brand that some people be like, oh, he did my wedding. Oh, I watch the guy from them, like Danny Bligh. I watch him on YouTube. Oh, I bought a wallet from him. I want to appeal to as many people as possible.
Yeah. Because
if I appeal to just people with businesses so I can make the social media content, then that's all I can do. And then when COVID happens and businesses aren't opening, what do I do for work? It's same for weddings. I want to appeal to weddings. But if I could do weddings, I could do birthday parties, or I could do engagement shoots, or I could do birthday shoots, Christmas shoots, these kind of shoots, whatever, portrait shoots. But then I could do product photography, and then that helps with this because now I can sell these and then tie this in with my photos, like my wedding.
Yeah, your website, portfolio, and but it's that, like you said, it's adapting. It's starting with an idea, get your brand, get your name out there, get your social media sorted, and then you just start finding different ways you can push the brand and make money. And it's still, you've gone from quite, I said, even in such a short space of time, going from something like what you have done before to now having your own products that you're selling. Yeah. But I think you're very smart in the sense of you're keeping it under this one brand. Yeah. Rather than setting up loads of different ones, because you have to start again with no traction.
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with doing that. I know people who do it and it works for them completely. And but I'm also very lazy. You wouldn't think it if you listened to this and thought, wow, this guy's done so much in 3 years. But I am lazy and I can't deal with working with more than one Instagram. Like the other day, I started a Instagram for my birds. I've got 2 cockatiels. And my girlfriend was like, oh, we should make an Instagram. So I made an Instagram. It's got 250 followers in like 5 days. You know, it's more than what I get in 5 days, that's for sure. But I don't have time for that. I'm busy. I work a full-time job and I've got a business. Like, that's the way it works.
You called yourself lazy. See, I wouldn't call you lazy. I'd say it's just not the priority for what you're trying. You've got your end goal.
Oh, this is it. Yeah.
Goal in mind, which is to do Oak Media full time and earn a living from it.
Yeah.
Taking pictures of your birds, yes, it's nice, but it's not tied into that plan.
No.
So I just
Yeah.
think you're just very good at prioritization, which is a really good skill to have, especially when you run your own company, because you need to know if you're doing this in your spare time, you need to know what you're doing. If you only put 4 hours a day into it when you've done a full day's work already, you need to know what you're working towards.
100%. And it's so important to like just be careful how you do things. It's been hard work. The issue I really have is when I don't do something, if I spend a day not doing anything, then I feel like I've failed at
You
life.
get itchy feet, yeah, because it's 12 hours you could have done working towards your goal.
Yeah, that's it. Like yesterday, I didn't go out. This weekend, I haven't been out whatsoever to do any kind of photos or Instagram or anything, and I feel really bad, and it makes me feel really about myself because I'm like, wow, I've done nothing. I've done nothing this week, but at the same time, like I'm still busy doing other things. Like I need the day to start and have 48 hours in a day, and there needs to be 14 days in the week for me to be able to actually keep up with things because I'm so busy doing other things. It's like I'm on a call to you right now, but yeah, I'm just uploading a new video to YouTube and it's published, and I'm just about to post on Instagram, update my link tree, and post everywhere else all at once because I'm on the phone to you, because like that's my day. And then I'll finish this call, I'll grab food, tidy the house, I'll probably come back and
Crack on or think of the next thing.
Yeah, just I constantly busy, but I burn myself out. It's not healthy. Like, to anybody who reads this, don't do it to yourself. Like, you have to be careful and look after yourself, your own health, because you can get really, really ill. The stress of buying a house and the issues which we've had in it, and the business and COVID and everything else caused me to pass out last week. Like, I passed out in the kitchen.
You're overworking yourself at this point.
Yeah, and it's not,
like you said, you have just bought a house, which is going to play a massive factor in that as well.
100%. But at the same time, like, you know, I'm super happy where I am now. I'm just excited to find out where I go next, because the plans I've got big plans. Yeah. I just need some more time in the day to do it. Like, if someone could invent some more time for me, I would love them forever. They would be my forever. Yeah, I just
create a Danny calendar.
Yeah, like there's the Chinese calendar, and Chinese New Year. Like, I shouldn't ever have a New Year. Like, the year should just go on forever. Like, the day should go on forever.
Like you said, you need to chill out and relax every now and again. And although in your mind, if you are chilling out and relaxing, you're then not being as
this is it.
Should be. But then if you don't do that, you don't have a bit of me time, then you end up passing out in the kitchen. And your health is obviously got to be one of your priorities as well as you running your business, and you have to make sure that both are in check. Because otherwise, one thing will fail, and if one thing of those fails, you'll be unhappy regardless, whether it's your health or whether it's your business.
Exactly. It's hard work. There's a fine line between achieving and failing, because you could achieve so much in your business or as a freelancer, or just you could achieve in anything you want to do. But the thing is, you may fail in something else completely. And the thing is, I really struggle to achieve in photography and videography, but then I fail at doing YouTube because I don't have time to do it. So therefore, I fail at being a good boyfriend, because my girlfriend has to spend the evening on her own. Yeah. Because I'm up here working, and it's just a continuous. Literally, it's not a balancing act between two things. It's not a seesaw. It's almost like a spinning top. Yeah. Yeah, it's like having plates. Like, I'm constantly having to balance everything every single day.
One of them might fall off, and you got to run over here and do this.
Yeah. And I get up early. I was early in the morning. I work until I go to bed. I'm always on Instagram, always interacting, engaging with people, chatting to people, answering questions, trying to post, think about the next video, think about the next project. But then on top of all that, of my own little bubble of stuff, I've also got a full-time job to go through and a freelance business to go alongside that. Like, my Instagram doesn't concern anything through my freelance stuff. Like, yeah, I get clients through that, but I don't advertise and be like, oh, you know, I do social media content for local businesses. I don't even think of doing that. Like, well, I do think of doing it. I just don't have time to do it.
It's just another plate that you just cannot physically.
Yeah. I could do with employing someone, but the thing is I'm not in a position to do something like that. Like, my next step would be to go full-time freelance.
Because if you went full-time freelance, then it's taking. I mean, that's 40 hours a week. That is going to be like freed up in it. Hey, Nancy.
Hello.
Yeah, no. So I think you're spot on there. So it is hard, isn't it? It's difficult to keep pushing and keep going.
Yeah, 100%. It's so hard. But eventually, I think I'll get there. It's just hard work, mate. It's just bloody hard work. Yeah. Oh, I've just been reading through the notes you sent me. Regarding what to charge, there's a video on my YouTube where I actually talk about how to plan all your charges and invoices and stuff.
Yeah.
So you might want to link that in, because I could reiterate it if whatever, or if you just summarize kind of what I say in the video. But it's a case of like finding out how much you earn, like how much would you be happy with, and then I normally add like times that by 2, and then put all your overheads on top. That's the way I work, because then it allows you to do discount on things.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, like, a lot of people forget about how much to charge on certain things, and they try and undercut themselves to get the job. But sometimes you can turn around and say, oh, it's £100 to this, and then you get to do the job and you think, wow, that was a lot of work for £100.
Yeah. And that's it. And to be honest, if you ever have any any jobs that come to you, but they're maybe not within your price bracket, you can always like ping them over, and we can get maybe something like somebody who's just starting out who will happily do a cheaper job just to build their portfolio up.
Yeah, well, that's it. Like, luckily, like, most people go for me regardless.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm quite fortunate for that. But at the same time, like, I know some people are very hesitant. Like, some jobs come to me and they're like, how much? I'm like, it's £300, and they're like, okay. And they don't really. But the thing is, they come with the same mindset as what I had 3 years ago.
Yeah, you don't realize the side and the work involved.
Yeah. I did a job for somebody after the first lockdown, and for what they got a lot for their money, but they didn't realize, like, they were like, that's expensive at first.
Yeah. And
then you turn up and you've got like £7,000 worth of kit with you. And then you've got a computer at home which needs to be able to edit it. Because that's another thing, like, that's my next thing. I don't have a computer to be able to edit video. The video computer which I'm using currently works. And that goes back in 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
So I've now got to get by with my laptop and do whatever I can on that until the new iMacs come out next year. And then I've got to go out and spend like £4,000, £5,000 on a new computer. Yeah. And it's just non-stop. But then on top of that, I've got everything else going off. Yeah, I could do with someone. I wish I could win the lottery just to give me a break, because back to like off the books, like, I'm just struggling. Just struggling massively. Like, just everything which could go wrong has gone wrong, and I'm struggling by now. So,
well, think of all the stuff that's gone right because you've done it. It's like there's a saying: if you don't try it, you've already failed.
Yeah.
Like, yes, you've got some issues and maybe financial situation, and like I said, this year has been crippling. Yeah, it has been hard, but then think about all the stuff that you have done. I mean, you're sat in a brand new house that you.
Well, this is it.
Yes, it's stretching the money a little bit right now, but when the world goes back to normal, how much business is going to be opened up for you? Because I imagine when life goes back to normal, it's going to go back to normal, and it's going to probably go pretty mental.
I hope so, mate, because I need it to. Because this is another thing, like, you know how I want about Illustrator. So over this lockdown, I've learned how to use InDesign and Illustrator like a graphic designer. So recently I've been doing projects for people, and then like done like a tutorial video of how to do something, did all the photos to go alongside it to create all the content and created reels for them. But then I created a PDF for them to send out to their clients, and it's an interactive PDF which hyperlinks through to a YouTube video, but it's all filled with everything which they could ever imagine.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for instance, you can click on an email thing and it opens up your email account with their email address straight in it and a subject line already written. So all they got to do is quickly type a message, press send, done. Or like, yeah, it's just simple things, but like it's exactly what a graphic designer would do. So now I'm starting to get into that realm where instead of just offering animation, photography, and videography, I can now offer animation, photography, videography, web design, graphic design, and stuff like that. So
building up your skill set, aren't you?
that's it, yeah. Like work said to me, oh, we want you to be able to do this. So I've gone away and done it. I won't get a pay rise out of it, but
from your end, it's going to give you more opportunity. You could go to a business and say, look, I'll not only do your pictures for you, I'll do your content. I'll actually promote, do an advert for you. You can do whatever you want, basically. You're getting to a point now where you're just going to be a whole marketing agency in one.
Well, this is it, yeah. And my ultimate goal would be to do YouTube full time. That's what I'd love to do.
Yeah, so it goes back to that thing you said before, is like, you know, you want to be a vlogger. That is the main thing. You want to just share your story to millions of people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's about getting the courage to be able to go do it. So my goal I've done a taste of it this year. My goal for 2021 is to hit that 1,000 subscribers and more and push myself further and further.
Yeah.
That's my goal.
Right, well, I'll help you do it.
Thanks.
I hope you get there.
If I don't, all I need to do is get some money to be able to buy a new computer. That's my goal.
Yeah.
That's my plan.
You ever looked at like any investment stuff? Like,
what do you mean? I'm not technically a business, so I'm not allowed to.
Yeah.
I'm not a business. I'm a sole trader, so I don't want to open a business because it's just more hassle than it's worth.
Do you think?
Yeah, especially when it comes to like accounts and stuff like that, because then you have to find an accountant who will deal with your business, and they normally charge more money. But I guess it protects you, because if you're limited, then or if you're a business or a limited business, then it means that any financial issues don't affect your actual personal stuff.
Yeah, it's only anything. Obviously, that's where you get things off like VAT off. If you, let's say, you bought a new car through a limited company, yes, you get 20% off it. But then if the business fails, the car is collateral in that sort of shit. Yeah. But your house isn't, and your
this is it. So I'm kind of like, you know, do I not? But I'm not really fussed, mate. I'm not really bothered. Like, the thing is, I don't deal with bigger clients to be able to get to that stage. If I started to deal with like Sony, for instance, but that's the thing. I never class myself as I'm not going to be a cinematographer. I don't want to be a cinematographer. So many people want to do that. I'm a content creator, and the photos I take, I enjoy taking the photos. I'm proud of the photos I take.
Yeah.
And I want to teach other people. That's all I want to do. I just want to teach others to be able to do what I do. I did a thing at the beginning of the year where I went to Macclesfield College.
Yeah.
And it was through work. There was a group of students who wanted to do videography, and offered them to do some adverts for Audi in Macclesfield, but they didn't know how to do it. So just by chance, I was in Macclesfield one day when they were like one of the staff members from Audi were going to the college. So I tagged along, and they were more interested in what I had to say than anything else. So then I went back in the January.
Is that because you're young, you're closer to their age gap, and they've?
Yeah, but also because I've got the experience. Like, it's no good. Their tutor has just been to university, and that's it. The staff member from Audi is a sales rep.
Yeah.
What the students were going to do was film cars. So who would they sooner speak to? The tutor, who has educational knowledge, someone who sells cars for a living, or the person who takes videos for Audi
and gets paid to do it, and
gets paid to do it, and has a business. So then I got talking to them, and they were just like, "What?" They're like, and the best bit was when they turned around and said, "So what university did you go to?" I didn't.
Yeah.
Like,
which I imagine blows people's minds, the fact that
yeah,
you're in a situation where you are without spending 30 odd grand on
yeah,
tuition fees.
yeah. Like,
because you can learn so much from YouTube, like it's unreal.
yeah,
Sometimes it's hard to sift through and find the actual good quality stuff, and that's why it's nice to know that what's worked for you will likely work for other people, because you can sift through the and find the actual golden nuggets of knowledge. And
if I had enough time, if I worked for myself, I would start like, I'd do YouTube full time, but I'd probably start like a Patreon page where I could do seminars and tutorials, like paid ones. Like, you get all the juicy goss of how to do certain things.
yeah,
But that's for another day, another topic, another conversation, and probably another life, mate, because I don't have enough time. But
yeah,
one day, mate, I've just watched a video of how much people earn on YouTube, and like a video with 1 million views will make you like £20,000.
yeah. So you got some videos that are out there like 300 million.
Yeah.
So
that's my goal now. I want to be a YouTuber. Definitely. Yeah. I wanted it for so long. I've wanted it for like 4 years now, 5 years. I've just never done it. Not like properly.
Yeah. Like I said, you just need to get to that point where you can do it. And by the sounds of it, the main thing that you need is more time. More time will get you more results. So, but yeah, no, this has been, it's been really interesting to hear like your side of it and how you've got to where you are. For sure. So, yeah, man. Well, it sounds like you need to go and have a bit of a chill. Just go and have an hour to yourself. Go and have a bath or something, and just get rid of all the screens and just chill.
I know. I can't wait for Christmas Eve and Christmas Day to actually just sit and relax. But then Nancy's back at work on Boxing Day, so like next week, like next Monday, I'll be back doing freelance stuff constantly.
Yeah. Busy man.
It never stops ever.
It never stops. But if you don't stop, you might be able to retire mid-30s. You could be sorted for life.
Yeah.
Would you rather work 40 hours a week until you're 65 or work 80 hours a week until you're 35?
Well, exactly. That's what I like to think. So
just keep grinding, keep up the graft, but just don't black out.
I try not to. I do try.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll be alright.
Lovely. I'll leave you there then, bro. Go and have a chill one, and I'll be in touch soon.
Yeah, man. Cool. Legend. Latest, mate.